All the way from Georgia, Keith Bearden.
Good morning. All right, how many people from Georgia do I got here? Oh, there we go. I knew you two were here already. So, my name's Keith Bearden, I'm from Georgia. As Sandy said, I was a skeptic, kind of, sort of skeptic. I had first seen the Bigfoot, just like everybody else. Back when I started, there we go. Here's my book, we'll go through this book. My book's Forest Friends of the Night. I wrote this book on urging from my friend Thom Cantrall after I had so much. It took me through the progression of being just a naive guy, didn't know anything about it, to how to actually have interaction. And that did happen later. But up until then was a great learning lesson, not only for me about Bigfoot, but as Arla has told me many times, it's not all about them, it's all about you. Okay, because unless your heart, your mind, your soul is open to this, and you know who you are inside, you can't progress. She's exactly right. Thom backs that too, I think. Arla and Thom have been there for me from the beginning. Through Arla, I met Thom. This was only a few weeks later, so Thom and I started talking. So now I'm getting really cool, good information that I believe in. I started with the Bigfoot research organization, the BFRO, Scott was talking about earlier. Went on there, was talking to a lot of people, and got a phone call. So I started asking questions, and I've already talked to Arla about some of these same things, some of the things I was worried about. Well, my son was bluff charged, and I'll tell you about that in a minute. We were having rock thrown at our camper all the time, so rock throwing became almost instant. Every night when we go to bed, we'd have little rocks, not big ones, but little rocks. The last strange that I talked about earlier. So my mind is, are they dangerous? Right away, Arla confirmed that with a no, they're not. And Arla will tell you that whoever thinks they're dangerous where they're at, she will go to your location and stand between you and them. And she's never been harmed or never been threatened. And I got to thinking about that. Well, we had the property for over 30 years. So in 30 years, I've never had anything bad happen. And I knew they had been there the whole time because I started recalling in my memory sounds, things that were happening, and seeing different things that I never related to this until I saw the track. And all that time, we were never harmed and we were never threatened. So I was like, okay, well, this is cool. Everything was rolling pretty good with me. I was finding out a lot of things until I was on a business trip. I was actually in a state border in Mexico. I was going in and out of Mexico at the time. And I get a phone call from my son, Frank. And my mom and dad were down there. They were in the camper. And they was like, Keith, there's something crazy going down there. Kendall just came back. He got something bad and he's scared. I was like, okay, put him on the phone. So they put him on the phone. And my dad at the time had some issues with his health. He walked with a cane. He had a little dog he took out to go to the bathroom. So he went out to let the dog go out. But the coyotes were really getting very, very aggressive toward our camp. They were coming into camp and we were growling outside. So I was getting concerned about him taking the dog out of the coyotes. So my son takes a shotgun because they were hearing some things outside. The coyotes started howling really, really loud, real close to the camper. So he gets an idea that he's going to go out, just go out around the little bend there from camp where the coyotes were, just shoot a few times there to scare them away. So he did. He went out, he walked down, and had his flashlight, goes around the corner, and gets his gun and clicks it off safety. And at that, almost at an exact time, we had pine trees 15 foot tall. And he says the pine trees started all moving. There was a little area and they all started shaking and moving. And he hears something come barreling through the trees. And the trees were parting like grass, okay? And as it was coming to him, he got so afraid. He said something hit him in the stomach. And the fear was so intense, he almost passed out. He got scared, forgot what he was doing, almost dropped the gun and just ran as fast as he could back to camp. It was only a couple hundred yards, but he ran as fast as he could back to camp and slammed and locked the door. So he's telling me this, and now I'm concerned. I'm like, okay, I don't know what's going on there. That's when I go back, I talked to Arla about it. I think I even talked to Thom about it. They reassured me, that was a bluff charge. That was nothing to be really concerned with. There was something going on. There's more than what you know. So when I get back in town, flew back, I went down to our property a few days later, and I figured out kind of the scenario I think of what happened. I found a really large track where I think it was a female, came running toward him, came out to the edge of the road, and I went behind the road behind where he was, where a camper. There was a small set of tracks about 6-7 inches long. So in my mind's eye, I see the picture and I'm putting it all together. I really think what happened was he got between her and her baby. So they do those kind of things not to be aggressive, but to run you off. I mean, you would do the same thing if somebody got between you and your baby and you were afraid they were going to be hurt. You had a gun in his hand. So that scenario actually helped ease my mind. They wouldn't want to have hurt him, they would have. And after talking to Arnold and Thom, this is when I really opened up and started listening and wanted to learn more. Okay, more signs, asterisks. We're finding asterisks everywhere. So this is actually a friend of mine, Jennifer Cotton. She comes up a little bit more in my story. Her and I started doing research. After all this started happening on our hunting property, I had the property a little bit longer. We ended up losing that piece of land that we had over 30, so I moved it about 2.5 hours closer to where I live. And immediately we started having signs the same. I'm getting asterisks. Jennifer befriended me from the internet. We were talking about Bigfoot, I think it was in a chat room or something. And she lived not far away, so we started looking for a new area. Didn't find anything yet, but she was sending me all these cool things that she was finding. So we found a new area, right? I felt a little bit relieved because I was still a little bit on the edge about all the things that was going on. My son was nervous, so I said, okay, let's just go to a new place. I still want to do my Bigfoot research and find out more. But I want to get to a new place so he can go out and have fun in the woods and do what we're doing and won't have to worry about the screams at night and all that. Well, we get down there, spend a few nights in the woods, everything's cool. And then one night I'm laying in bed and I hear the same scream. I was down there with, at that time, with my wife, my ex-wife, now. But we were laying in bed and we hear the scream. I said, well, here too. I said, well, it is what it is. I want to learn more about them. We're here, we're going to just start investigating. So I started my journal back up, I'm taking notes. Well, one night, after we heard the scream, I went down and I see this hardwood tree. That's a pretty good, diameter tree. I don't think many of us could do that. That's about 7 foot up, bent completely over like that. And I started finding these kind of things. Trees bent all the way over. The top of that tree was actually stuck in the ground. We started really getting into this thing. I'm looking and doing my thing. We get this new piece of property, right? On the property, I'm talking to Arla, and we start discussing the possibility of her coming to Georgia and meeting me and us doing a campground. I thought, that's cool. That'd be a great way for me to learn more from you and for me to understand more what's going on. Because I already knew Arla was the real deal. She definitely knew what she was doing, and she was teaching me things about Bigfoot and about myself. Nobody else could at that time. She was the right person in the right spot for me at that point in time. So I found a new place, but we couldn't bring anybody onto the property. It was gated, very strict rules. So we decided, okay, Arla and Thom, at the time, I said, we're going to send Keith out. We're going to find an area close by where he's at. And there was a little park. There's a state park, and there's also another little county-owned park across from where I was camping at and where our hunting property. So I went over there and started looking around. Started finding tracks. Immediately I had things happen. I smelled a really strong odor. As soon as I got out of the car, we walked down the car, went down the trail, right across from our park. And as soon as I walked down the trail, I started having rocks coming through the woods. The smell that I was smelling, the wind was blowing crossways, so it was hitting me from the trail that ran along the creek on the bottom side. So, I'm thinking being a deer, and I know there's something down there that's following me. And now these rocks are coming in. So after a couple minutes, there was a deer that comes flying across the trail, up the hill toward me. I thought she was going to run over me. She came within 5 or 6 feet of me, past me. And at that point in time, I knew that she was scared. You could tell. So then I had a couple more rocks, and I'm like, all right, they're here. That's cool. So I found the places, we get good camping areas. So we walked on down the trail a little bit further, had a few more rocks thrown. So then after that, we walked back in the car. I was excited about the place I found, so I immediately called Arnold and said, hey, I found the place. This is going to be where we go. It's got great camping areas. So we started planning our camp house. And this track was very near there. And one of my great researcher friends, Sam Chandler, sitting right over there, I met him and we started talking. He was in the area. So we formed our little group of people. We're very, very selective on who we brought in. So Arnold had already told me, you know, we want to bring the right people into camp. We don't want just anybody. We want people that has an open mind and a good heart. Somebody that comes in wanting to do good, and it's, the kind of people we want in our group. So that's what we did. Sam was one of the first ones. This is actually his track. He found near Sweetwater. It's not far from where our camping area. How far do you think, Sam, from where we camp? 10 miles maybe? Yeah, about 10 miles away. So he showed me this track, and I'm like, that's really cool. It's one of the best ones I've seen. That's better than the one I found on the creeks. This one I found was real lot more sandy. It wasn't this good. I don't have my near glasses on. I got my far glasses. So this is really one of the cool things. Immediately, when I started going to the park, we started finding these rock stacks. This was one from there. So we started finding these rock stacks everywhere, and it's really, really cool. I didn't know much about rock stacks, so I immediately started asking questions and trying to find out more about them. Now, one of the things that I found on my hunting property, this is a cool story, we were getting, not only would we get a bang on the camper, we'd hear a scream or whatever, and I've even heard them outside the camper a couple times. Well, we were getting some gifting that just started, and this was turkey season. I had all my gear with me, and I set up in a little field, and I'm turkey hunting, right? Doing my yelping and that sort of thing, any hunter knows. So it's been in a milk out. And when I started getting this weird noise, it's a bird of some sort. It's really loud, shrill, almost irritating whistle. It goes on and on and on to the point where I'm like, stop it. So I picked up all my stuff, all my decoys, and I moved. I couldn't get this bird to leave. I was throwing stuff in the weeds where I kept thinking it was. So I walked past where it was, went down about 200 or 300 more yards, and I sat back up. So I'm sitting there, I haven't heard anything, it starts back. This thing's following me, right? But this time it gets over on the other side of me. Says, all right, I've had enough. I just put my gun down. I'm going to see what this is making this whistle. So I start walking toward it, looking, and I'm real intent on looking for movement. I don't see anything, but it moves further away and whistles again. So I followed this thing probably half a mile. And as I crossed over the hill, a beautiful rock stack, a little bigger than this one, I lost that picture, was there. And on top of the rock stack, a beautiful blue jay feather with a rock on top. That's really cool. And I love blue jay feathers. So I got the blue jay feather and I put it away and put it in my journal. So I started taking all these notes. And that's where things really intensified from there. I was getting gifting almost every night we camped. Wake up in the morning, and there'll be either a beautiful leaf or a feather or a piece of quartz rocks or something left on the table. It was almost a nightly thing, and I think somebody else, maybe Scott, was saying, once they start a routine, they repeat it, and that's what was happening. So we're getting the same thing all the time. So that's when it really became personal. And I started changing on the inside, okay, because some of the things they were doing to me was not only confirmation for me, but through my lessons with Arnold and Thom and some of the other people that are very dear to me still. They would tell me, you got to open your mind, okay? You got to, when you go out in the woods, talk to them, just like you're talking to one of your best friends. Talk to them, let them know who you are, think good positive thoughts. Don't ever go in the woods with a lot of baggage. Don't go out there expecting to see anything if you got a lot of things going on in your personal life, because they are energy, as Joe and a lot of other people have already pointed out, Scott. The energy that's associated with these guys is so intense when you're around them. It's something you'll never forget. So I started feeling that energy. I started understanding a little bit more about that. So my heart and my mind is changing at this point. I'm becoming more accepting. And so now I was very happy to go out in the woods and experience them. No, I had no fear at all. It was all very, very friendly people. So I started looking for tracks everywhere I went, documenting them, trying to take photos and gather as much information as possible. I don't really even know why I'm gathering information. It was more for myself because I had no intent in sharing it with the world. A couple people on Facebook and a couple other groups, but to me, it was a personal thing. I had nothing to prove by proving them. I never wanted to prove them at all. So, but I did want, to collect evidence. So things are rocking along. I'm learning. I'm having a really, really good time with the people that's been introduced to me. We had a conference back in 2012 in Georgia. It was the first conference that I'd ever heard of. So I found out, through Thom and a few others, that Thom was going to speak there. And Arla, who I'd already befriended and was my best friend kind of in the world, she was going to speak there. So I'm like, I got to go to this conference. So I immediately got in touch with my buddy Alex that was putting it on in Georgia, in Atlanta, Georgia, and got with him. I said, well, I'll do anything that you want me to do. I just want to be there. I'll be there every day. So I went to help set this thing up. So I was the guy that was going to pick up people from the airport and bring them in. Cool, I'll do that, no problem at all. So I ended up picking up the one night. I went down to met Arla. She was riding. At that time, she rode my ex-wife in the car behind me with her. So they got to talk. And I picked Thom up. Thom was down the pickup area a little bit. I pulled up to Thom. He comes out with these two huge suitcases I could barely even move. I don't know how he pulled them to the airport full of books. So I throw the other hand in. Now, I've got a pickup truck with an extra cab in the back. It's not a double cab, it's just an extra cab. So Thom gets to the front. Between me and him, we got that front filled up. And I'm supposed to pick up Ron Moore in. I'm thinking, okay, I've got luggage in here. It was raining crazy. Ron probably remembers how hard it was raining that night. So how am I going to get Ron in here? I said, Thom, we got a problem. Your luggage is taking up half the seat. And I got to get Ron. So he said, Ron's a little bitty guy. He'll be able to fit right in there. I said, okay, but I don't want him to be uncomfortable. So Ron comes out, I introduce myself. He gets in, and he fits in that little spot perfectly. So now I'm driving. I got my GPS deal going, and I'm headed to the line, and I'm just having this idea. I met Arla, I met Thom. I'm going to this great conference, and it's raining so hard. But I started listening to Thom and Ron talking back and forth about their experiences and about Bigfoot, about everything. I get so involved in listening to conversation. I circled Atlanta. How many times Thom was talking about? He went, I'm driving around Atlanta until we got so hungry we had to stop and eat. And it's like, we're not going anywhere. We moved probably 50 miles to the airport. It's like 2 hours. So I still catch grief about that from Thom. But I was enjoying it. I was having a good time. So at the conference, going back to the conference, once we get there, we get checked in. A beautiful place in Atlanta. I'm trying to remember the name of it. The Double A Ranch or something like that. So we check in. Everything's going well. We're enjoying ourselves. I meet Scott Nelson. If you guys know Scott Nelson, I know Ron Moore, who has, of course, with the Sierra Sounds thing, which you'll hear about in just a few minutes. Scott got together with him. They've got an amazing story of Scott's studies of Ron's stuff. So I'm here with all the people that I've been hearing about. It's like being amongst all these movie stars it was to me, because these guys were my idols at the point. They were teaching me things on the internet. I finally got to meet them. But I met one little guy, of all those people that I met at this conference, the one that changed my life and heart more than anything from that point was a little guy named Elijah. Elijah was about 11 years old. When we got to the conference, he was sitting in the front row. Now, most kids, you think, coming here and sit and listen to a bunch of people talking about Bigfoot wouldn't be that exciting about going to the conference. They didn't want to go out and be playing outside or do something like that, right? Not Elijah. He sat on the front row on the edge of the seat. He'd get so excited, he'd clap and he'd jump up. And he was like cheering on a football game. I'm like, that kid's cool. So, throughout the day, I woke up and I said, Elijah, you really like this? He said, yes, I do. He said, I'm learning so much, aren't you? I said, yes, sir, Elijah, I sure am. So after the conference was over that day, we went for a little night walk out behind the conference center, right? There's some woods behind us. Oh, it was absolutely phenomenal what happened. As we were sitting there, and Alex was playing the flute, and a couple other things, we started having eye shine come down the hills. And we've got a group of maybe 50 people. Elijah was there. Every time Elijah saw something, he jumps up, yay, there they are, they're coming to see me. So he's like really into this thing. So I go and sit with Elijah. So me and Elijah are like buddies now, right? So I'm talking to Elijah about things that I've seen, and he's telling me he's going to be a scientist, he's going to be a researcher. He was so excited. I said, that's cool. Well, the conference was wonderful. It was an eye-opener for me. It taught me a lot more about myself. Well, Elijah, the very last day of the conference, I walked up to him to tell him goodbye. We both were pretty emotional. He's crying. I'm thinking he's crying because he's going to miss me, right? So I hugged him. I said, Elijah, man, you've been so inspirational to me. I said, I want you to keep up. So I got his mom, and we still, talked a little bit on Facebook. But he says, oh, it's not you. I'm going to miss the Bigfoot. I said, oh, okay, well, that's cool, Elijah. He said, but more than that, I keep asking the Bigfoot to show me a sign they're real because I really want to know in my heart. I want to see one or see something. Well, as we were leaving the conference, and I had just drove down here to go get some coffee or something before we left. I went by the road and I didn't see anything, right? So when we're leaving, I went across this little figure on the side of the road. And I was like, that's a cool looking rock stack. Kind of looks like a figure, right? You got 2 feet, see the shoulders and the head. So we stop. And we take photos, right? And Elijah gets out, and he's behind us. He runs over the rock stack, and he starts crying, doing his little cheering thing. So I told his mom, I said, message me when we get home. So she messaged me when we got home. Well, Elijah was so excited because the Bigfoot heard him. They gave him the sign that that was for him. So I thought that was a cool story. So now I'm on a new path. I'm on a path that's going to lead me in places that I would have never dreamed before, right? Now, everybody recognize that guy? He's a lot smarter today, isn't he? Yes. He knows I'm going to talk about him, so he disappeared. Anyway, learning how to research, this is where I'm at now in my life. So I start learning from Thom more and more. One of the very first keys that I found out, you don't have to go out in the woods and run through the woods looking for Bigfoot. Absolutely the opposite. What is a researcher's very best, a really good researcher that wants to have interaction and wants them to come closer and do things with? What's their very best tool? Thom uses it every day. You do too. Anybody guess?
Sitting in the chair.
Sit in a chair. Thom does it good, doesn't he? Sit in a chair. So, listen to Arlen and Thom. That's what we would do. We would go out, we'd sit in a chair, we would listen. I'd talk to them as Arlen was teaching me. And that's when things really started happening for me. Started talking to them, they would come in close, we'd get whistles, we'd get things, and I would see little movement. I still haven't seen one really well. I've seen on my hunt property black things pass through the bushes and things like that I've taken notes of. So I haven't seen one really close. But this is where it really got cool. So, as Arlen told me, the key to all of it is respect. They respect you, they respect their environment, they want you to do the same. Okay? So, and it starts from right here. My friend and partner who made all the stuff I'm selling back here came up with this little design. This really is key. It's respect. At the heartbeat, there with respect. So, anybody who wants to go out and really get close to Bigfoot, this is what you got to have. Right or not? So we start having these campouts. Everybody knows the guy there on my right, on my left, on my right. Bob Gimlin, we invited him after one of our conferences that I was able to go to come to our campout. And he did. He said he would, and he showed up. So I started learning and listening from everybody, including Mr. Bob Gimlin. So a progression until now. Bigfoot people are not monsters, Arlen told me that. They're the most advanced being in the forest. They don't need protected. You must be open to them. Respect is the key to everything. Now, I met a girl after my divorce, the whole thing, that once we started talking, I didn't know if she was going to connect with me or not, and Bigfoot was really important to me, right? So after she found out I wrote a book, she said, I found out you wrote a book. I said, uh-oh. What's it about? She says, well, it's about Bigfoot. I said, how do you feel about Bigfoot? She says, oh, I'm completely open to it. Cool. So she's been my very best friend and my partner for the last couple of years. And we've shared, every day we share things together. And she was every year tonight, she's in a couple of car accidents, she couldn't. But she made a lot of handmade stuff that I got back there tonight. And she's actually got one of the best Bigfoot things going on that I've seen. You're going to hear a little more about that. So, this encounter, and I don't know if I can read this, this happened about 3 months ago. This particular evening, something had held me up and I was running a little late. The night was unusually dark and quiet. By the time I reached Abilene, and that's about 2.5 hours from me in Georgia, where she lived, I realized there were no other cars around me. It seemed odd to travel several miles without seeing any other cars on the road. So shrugging it off, I continued on my way. A few hundred feet before my turn, and between where she had been seeing 2 different rock stacks that would appear, she would drive by them, she would go by them a little later going home, they would be completely gone. Not pushed over, but gone, nowhere in sight. She immediately, hold on, I lost my vision. I don't have my reading lesson. But a few hundred feet before her turn, between where she'd been seeing the rock stacks, she immediately, as I saw something, it was illuminated in my high beams. I first thought it was a fawn on the right side of the road. I slowed a moment, saw him wondering what it was doing alone out here and not moving. The moment I saw it, listen, then I realized what it was. I tried to talk myself out of it. My mind wasn't believing. Here's I can see it here. My mind wasn't believing what it was seeing. It was taking inventory of every detail that was visible to me. He was knelt down next to the road in the grass with one knee up, his thin bare arm wrapped around his leg, our eyes locked, and although common sense told me he couldn't see me, I felt he could see into my soul. If he stood up, he would have been about 4 feet tall, with a very thin body, a long face. I couldn't see his hands or feet because of the way he was sitting. There was nothing covering his form. There was nothing hiding that this was not human. Our eyes never wavered, and neither of us moved. She slowed the car down and stopped. She says, as I sat up in my seat trying to get a look at him over through the passenger door window, but I slowly passed. I couldn't see him. But as the rear door passed where he was and knelt down, a loud thud on the car. I knew I hadn't hit him. He had to have reached out and hit the car door. The force used to make me wonder if he dented the car. I also wondered what message I was being conveyed. I was stunned but unafraid. Nothing about the incident made me feel fear. He wasn't trying to scare me, just letting me know he was there. A small structure appeared exactly in the spot I saw him soon after that night. During the day, it didn't really look like much. 2 branches had been placed facing one another from the shelter, for a shelter. But at night, it looked like an elaborate structure. It seemed to have a life of its own every time I passed it. It stayed there right next to the road for several weeks without being disturbed. I described it to friends, and we'll show a couple of pictures. You fill in what it was. That's one of the pictures that I shared with her that I had found. So I've seen him twice since that night, not as close up to the person, but closer to home. I think of him every single time I cross that stretch of road. I even scour the woods as I drive by. I don't think I'll ever stop. But that was from Sean. That's what she saw. Whatever you guys think it is, I'll leave it up to you. I've heard Faye. I think that was what was under this picture that I found. These are the rock stacks that she was finding that was disappearing. How much time do I have?
11 minutes.
This would be trying to get through it. So, now I've got somebody sharing this thing with me. Now, she had already known about the Bigfoot. She'd been seeing things pass her window. And I was like, well, that could be anything. And well, her window was actually 10 feet off the ground. So if it's walking by her window and it's that high up, well, you do the math. That's a pretty big object walking right in front of her window. So she already knows that I find out a little more about Sean after all this is happening. She's actually psychic. She knows things, sees things, and she's had some beliefs about entities and beings for a long time. She already knew there was Bigfoot there. She had been getting communications from the Bigfoot, right? Through the mind's telepathy thing. Didn't have time to put it in my presentation, but a story about my interaction with a 10.5-foot Bigfoot's in my book. It's been the one that's been teaching me things when I go to Macintosh. Extraordinary story. The book's worth a read just for that. It still chokes me up every time I think about it. But things started happening for her on her property. And one thing, I may actually tell this, so I got 10 minutes. I may be able to get that story in. So one of the things that she started having happen, she would go out, go to her daughter's house and do some things. We'll start getting late. She's always trying to get home, right? Well, if it got dark, and she was like, she'll beat herself up that she can't open the gate, she can't see it well. So what happened was, this particular night, she took her dog Rain out and put her on the lead, and there's a barn she could go in if it started raining, right? Well, it was raining, she got home, Rain wasn't on her lead, so she was worried. She got out, she goes out to the door. Well, her front door was standing wide open. She goes in, Rain's on the sofa, just as dry as she could be. So it's like, okay. Well, she immediately knew in her mind, Bigfoot had to do it. She left the door locked. So after that happened, this started being an almost every week thing. She'd know her daughters come back, anything wrong with weather, Rain would be inside with the door open. So finally she's telling me the story, and I was like, well, tell them to shut the door and lock it for you. She did. Next time she come home, guess what? Rain was inside, the door was locked. She was safe and sound. But little things like that started happening. So we've had a really cool understanding, and she's teaching me things. So I'm like, that's really cool. So between the two of us, we're contemplating writing a book together. Now she's done a book on her own first. I told her she needs to do that. So that'll be coming out. She'll be publishing it under Sean Chambers, I think, or she may go back to McCray. I'm not sure if it's her maiden name. But yeah, some really cool things about it. Now, the story, I didn't know if I'd have time for it. I don't have any more slides, I don't think. But this is the story where I met my teacher. Well, it's actually a couple stories combined in the last, how much time do I have? 8 minutes. I gotta make this good. Right here, right on. So, as I was going through my learning experiences, I'm talking to Arla, she's talking to her mentor that night, Bigfoot, because her teacher. And I'm like, that's cool. And we're talking, and she's talking to him, and I'm like, let me let you know, you're fine. I can talk to you while I'm talking to him. So she's telling me, things that he's telling her, teaching her. I said, ask him if I'll ever have a teacher. So she did, and she came back and said, yes, you will. I'm like, oh, cool. I want to be able to sit down and talk to him. So she described, he's telling her how this is going to happen, right? She described to me, Keith, I see this big tree out, I see this hill. And she says, I hear a big loud boom. I don't know if it's an explosion. She says, no, it's thunder. It's a tree strike. It's a lightning strike. So she's going through this thing as he's talking to her. So she describes everything that I'm going to witness and see. He's going to come down from the hill. You're going to be able to see him. Cool. So she even gave me a little bit that's going to be in the next few weeks. So in my mind's eye, I'll immediately get this image of a date. It appeared to me. It's like they were talking to me, right? So I circled on my calendar. It's going to be Saturday. So I called some friends, and I had already learned I like to have people with me for verification. That's why we formed a group. Sam and I have been doing a lot of this together. So I've always got people with me, which is really cool when you see them, especially the ones that's never seen anything before. So this particular night, we're having a camp out, right? Coming up in just a few weeks. So I go down on a Saturday, and I meet 3 of my buddies, and Jason Weaver, a couple others that's in my group. We all go out to the trail we named after me, Keith's Trail. So we start down this trail, and we get just a little ways in, and I hear a noise. I look up here, and there's this huge white light. I think it's like a high beam light. Somebody's out here in the woods up there. So it starts coming towards us down the hill. As it's coming down the hill towards us, that big, huge white light turns into 2 little small lights, like 2 pin light flashlights. He's probably 50 feet, maybe. So I'm looking, and then he gets a little closer. He stands on the other side of the creek. He's within 30 feet of me. And I'm looking at him, and we're all looking at him, and they're amazed, I'm amazed. And you can see the lights reflecting off the tree branch that he's in front of. And he's peeking over it, and we're just staring. And Jason, my buddy Jason, decides he's going to do a greeting grunt, right? So he does a greeting grunt. Well, as soon as he does it, makes this noise. His eyes turn red, fire red, just bright. And like, oh my God, you got him mad. He's going to kill us now. All the things Orla told me went out the window because I said he's mad. So I'm like, why did you do that? And I started apologizing. I'm almost on my knees. I'm sorry. We're not meaning any disrespect. So then he turns around, he walks away. As he's walking away, I can almost see him smile. It's dark, but I can almost see him smiling, right? So he's going, what kind of, all excited and nervous and shook up all at the same time. I was drained of energy. Okay? Something about them when they get close drains you. So we go back to camp, we talk about it. And I've got 5 minutes, so I got to wrap up this last detail of my story. So now our camp out. Our camp out comes up. We've got a great turnout of people. Got some people that are still friends with me forever and ever, but always will be. But we were taking a night walk. It was me, Arla, I don't even remember how many people now. We had several people that are real dear neighbors now. I'm going down my trail. Arla's with me. It was just me and Arla. The rest of the group separated us because we were hearing and seeing things and some eye shine up on the hill in front of us to our right. So me and Arla stepped down. I see and I hear him, and we can hear him coming down the hill, right? So he's walking down the hill going toward the trail. When he gets down to where the trail is, there's a little opening there. I could see him when he filled the road. Arla's right beside me. So she stopped. She said, he wants you to go closer. And I knew immediately this was the one I seen my teacher. So I'm looking at him. I'm a little bit nervous. I don't know if I want to walk up there with him all by myself, but she encouraged me, Keith, you go ahead. So I did. I walked forward, I don't know, or 10, 20 feet maybe. Arla's behind me, and when I get down and I'm looking at him, I can see him. I can see his form, I can see his eyes, I can see him really, really well. Big, tall, 10.5-foot male, with light blondish colored hair. It was dark at night, but I could see him. I could see the detail in this light road with a little bit of moonlight coming through. So as I'm standing there looking at him, every hair on my body standing up.